Starfield takes the awe of landing on the moon for the first time and strips it of the physical sensation of a new environment, the thrill of gathering data, and the novelty of successfully rocketing up to a new world. From here, all that's left is moving forward with the W key till something notable comes up at you. I'm Rich Funky, this is Space, and this is
John Pork. No,
What?
In my view, Starfield fundamentally misses the mark in delivering its promise of wonder and the mysteries of the cosmos. This failing is particularly stark when considering how games can effectively use monotony to convey thematic depth. Take Papers, Please, for example. While not traditionally quote-unquote exciting, it masterfully uses its mundane gameplay mechanics to mirror the oppressive regime in its narrative, making the commonplace nature of tragedy both shocking and intriguing. The game's quote-unquote boring elements, like the spreadsheet-esque menu detailing your family status, enhance its thematic impact by normalizing death and suffering, placing them secondary to mundane, bureaucratic performance. This contrast creates a statement that sticks with you. In contrast, Starfield fails to substantiate the allure of its supposedly mysterious elements, like the Starborn temples and planets. Their repetitive nature dulls their initial intrigue. The game's narrative and gameplay elements fall into a repetitive loop with minimal variation. Although there are scattered instances of detailed quests and environments, they are too few and far between, diluting any motivation to explore. And for the menus themselves, I had to install a 120 Hz menus mod in order to make the fast travel systems not as absolutely aggravating as they are. A more focused approach, perhaps centering around a single solar system, could have allowed for a richer, more engaging experience with quality over quantity. And on a final note, Bethesda's comparison of playing Starfield to the monumental human achievement of landing on the moon just strikes me as pretty funny. Like, I get that they were inspired by the quote-unquote NASA punk aesthetic and tone, but Todd Howard and the marketing team really shoot for the moon and then just try jumping up and flail around sometimes. It doesn't really work most of the time. Starfield's approach to embodying the vastness of space becomes its own downfall in my opinion. The game's expansive universe, filled with barren planets and a lack of substantive content, underscores the crucial need for a video game to be curated for engagement and fun, rather than simply boasting vast, uneventful spaces. This is where Bethesda seems to have lost its way. If you didn't know, space by nature is pretty empty, but in a game, this emptiness translates to a lack of adventure, discovery, and activity. The experience feels hollow, lacking the excitement and intrigue that should be accompanying space exploration. Bethesda keeps attempting to thrust in procedural generation techniques to fill space, but in my opinion, it will never be more than filler content if the scale of the world is too big to begin with in concept. The development time of over 7 years, compared to the entire Mass Effect trilogy's creation within a similar time frame, makes Starfield's shortcomings even more glaring. Features like outposts and shipbuilding, while technically impressive, do not compensate for the lack of a compelling world, engaging story, or memorable characters, the core elements that make an RPG truly captivating. Starfield misses an ideal opportunity to enforce meaningful choices between factions like UC or Freestar. The lack of consequences for aligning with historically opposing factions undermines the game's narrative and reduces the impact of player decisions. Compare this with a game like Papers, Please, where each choice significantly impacts the narrative and personal stakes. The game creates a strong emotional connection through a morally complex and compelling story, using objectively far less budget and resources to create so much more. As I conclude my review of Starfield, it's important to note the game's mixed reception, currently reflected in its mixed status on Steam. This is especially notable with the Game Awards and Starfield not appearing in the Game of the Year category. This has been met with an unusual strategy by Bethesda, their customer support team actively responding to negative reviews. I've been pulling quotes from a Eurogamer article this entire video on this topic. Bethesda has been highlighting the game's features, suggesting different playstyles, and defending design choices like the expansive yet empty planets. This approach feels like an outsourced marketing company was paid to go out and seek negative reviews to respond to, a lot like what hotel and hospitality industries sometimes do on review sites. This development in Starfield's saga is telling. Bethesda's response to criticism, while indicative of their dedication, seems more like a desperate measure to counteract negative perceptions. To me, it feels like they are doubling down on their actions rather than owning up to certain design choices here and there being a bit lackluster. Bethesda is only digging their hole deeper here, and someone needs to take the shovel away from them. If you like this video and want more similarly styled videos in the future, feel free to stick around. I have a few ideas for the future, some stuff like this, some stuff very different from this. So yeah, if people have thoughts on this topic, and please let me know down in the comments. And also, yeah, I've got a few ideas, so I'm going to hash them out, and I'd love to hear back from you guys. Really appreciate it. See ya.